Hello, this is an introduction to Silhouette Studio, the free software used with our Silhouette Cameo vinyl cutter in the MakerLab. The video is intended to give you a brief background and get you started on your very first project. Here's an image of the project we'll be making today. To begin, we will need to open up the software. Silhouette Studio is already installed on the MakerLab laptops. The icon looks like an S with a light blue circle around it. Double-click to open and click Design if prompted. What we see here is a standard starting template. There are many advanced options, but today we are going to look at how to make and cut shapes and use the text tool. These tools are great for scrapbooking or creating custom cards. Also, check out the MakerLab page for a link to a pop-up card made with a Silhouette Cameo. The toolbar along the left is used to design your project, whereas the toolbar on the top is used to set layout and also adjust cut settings. One of the layout options you may need to change is the size of the paper that's on your template. Right now it's defaulted to 8.5 by 11, which is the standard letter size. To change that, you need to open the page settings by clicking on the icon. You'll see your width, which you can change automatically by highlighting and entering your new width. That will automatically be reflected as soon as you change the number. Let's start our project. Drawing shapes is one of the most basic functions, and you'll see a list of shapes over on the left toolbar. I'm going to select the ellipse, and I will click and drag out to make it bigger. Now I want a perfect circle, so what I'm going to do is hold down the Shift button. That will change it to a circle, and I can drag outward to make it bigger or inward to make it smaller. Once I have the size I want, I'm going to click once more to finish my shape. Even after you've drawn the shape, you can change the size of the shape if you want. To do that, click on the cursor, select the shape, and drag one of the corners. Now I'm going to show you how to replicate this pattern. There are two ways to do that. While I have my outer box selecting my shape, I can hit Control-C on a PC or Command-C on a Mac, and then I'll hit Control or Command-V. That will replicate my shape, and I have two circles now. To make many duplications or to repeat a pattern, there's a better way than to hit Control-C, Control-V. I'll highlight my circle and delete this one, then select my first circle. Next, I'll go up to the Replicate tab, click, and then go down to Fill Page. You'll see your shape or pattern is repeated throughout the whole page. I'm going to hit Control-Z or Command-Z to go back to my single circle, and we'll take a look at the text icon. The text icon is represented by the letter A, and all you have to do is click and then click your cursor, and it works just like a word processor. So I'm going to type some text. What we can do here is we can click the cursor to move our text where we want it. We can also see here on the sidebar that we can change the font. I'm going to change to a nice thick text like Impact. That will help with the cut at the end. To give your project more flair, we can make the text stick to objects like this circle we just made. To do that, we need to double click on the text box and a small circle will appear. Click the small circle and drag it to the outer edge of the circle. You'll notice that the text automatically snaps to the outside. This looks a little bit small for what I want, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the edge of the inner circle, drag a corner so that it makes more of an arc. Now I'll just simply drag the bottom and my whole project moves over. If we were to leave the project as is, what would happen is the machine would cut out this inner circle. I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to click on the text, go to Object, and Release Compound Path. That'll allow me to move the circle shape away and just be left with text. I'll go ahead and delete this circle. I'm going to add one more element before we wrap up. I've already downloaded a picture and saved it to my computer. Then I went to File, Import, and Import to Library. To access that picture, I now need to go to the library icon, which is a book. Then My Own Designs, and double-click on Gear, which will import it into my template. I need to resize by clicking on the image and dragging a corner until I get the size that I want. Now that I have my image, I'll need to tell the silhouette what it should cut. I'll select my image and go up to the trace area, which looks like a butterfly. I'll click Select Trace Area and draw a box around my gear. You'll notice the yellow lines, and we have three options: Trace, Trace Outer Edge, and Trace and Detach. I'm going to do Trace Outer Edge. Now, when I move my shape away, the red line indicates what it will cut. I'm going to delete the image since we don't need it anymore now that we have our trace pattern. I'll highlight the gear and press Delete on my keyboard. Now I kind of like that circle in the middle, so I'm just going to draw a new one. I'll click on the ellipsis, hold down my Shift button, and get it to a size where I like it. Next, I'll just reposition this really quick. What I'm going to do now, since both of these move independently of each other, the gear and the circle, I'm going to draw a box outside of them, go to Object, and click Group. That'll allow these both to move in tandem instead of separately. Now I have a project that I'm really happy with, and I'd like to send it to the silhouette. To do so, I need to navigate to the Cut Settings icon. Then click Cut, choose the material. I'm using cardstock, which will bring up a menu that shows us that we need a 4 blade length. In order to change the blade length on the Silhouette Cameo, we'll need to open up the front flap, take out the ratchet, and turn the blue knob to the left. This is where the blade lives. What you'll do is you'll take the ratchet and line up the triangle with the red mark on the blade. Then you'll twist left or right to go to the correct setting. When your blade length is set, put the blade back in the holder and lock in place by turning the blue knob to the right. Now we'll look at how to load the materials into the silhouette. To load the materials into the Silhouette Cameo, we'll need to use the cutting mat. Peel off the protective layer, take your material, and make sure the arrow is pointing up on the cutting mat. Align so that you have a straight 90-degree angle along the edges. Press down firmly so that your material sticks to the cutting mat. Align with the edge indicated by the arrow on the Cameo machine and press Enter to load cutting mat. When your blade length is set and your material is loaded on the cutting mat, click Send to Silhouette and enjoy your project. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and hope to see your creations in the MakerLab.